Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Let's talk about what the organization does.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this discussion. The African Academy of Sciences, we are a Pan-African organization. We are based in Nairobi. Our mandate really focuses on three pillars. The first one is the recognition of excellence, and the second one is issues of think tank and advisory to governments. And the third is implementation of programs. So we are very much intensely involved in implementation of programs, and these vary from training of masters, PhD, to postdoctoral people.
Mm-hmm. Now, you did mention that you are a Pan-African organization, so I can assume that you've had various engagements across various regions. What would you say are some of the best practices when it comes to the digitization of regions, and really what countries or the region of SADC can learn from this best practice?
Well, best practice obviously is to get as much as we can to have IT being part of everything that we do. And as far as we are concerned, as the African Academy of Sciences, we've been involved in developing a standard. We call it a good financial grant practice standard. And this standard is very important in terms of financial practices. And obviously, it relies very much on the application of ICT. And that is really something that we feel that is a very critical component in terms of how Africa should do business going forward.
Right. But what are some of those challenges in terms of how we should be doing business?
Well, I think the issue is that there is not a cross-application of IT across what we are doing. There are aspects of our operation that really would be improved by putting all the systems online. And this is very critical in the sense that it brings in a high degree of traceability in terms of what we are doing. And we are hoping that if we go on that path where, in fact, we can actually be able to harness IT for the enhancement of our activities, for the facilitation of our processes, then we'll be in a better position.
Right, and one of those ways would obviously be skills development. Where do you think we are when it comes to the development of skills, and really how can we harness what the fourth industrial revolution can do to develop skills in the region?
Well, the issue of skills is it's an intense issue, isn't it? I don't think we'll be able to cover that now, but I think what I can say is that we very much in the SADC region have adapted education systems from the 60s and the 70s, and those have taken us through the 90s, and at the point where we are at, I think we need to come up with new interventions. I think we need to sort of modify curricula. We need to really transform the way we are doing things so that we can cater for the youth. Because information, the way it was being disseminated in the past, it cannot be the way it should be disseminated now. We should try and make sure that the youth really are brought into the bigger picture, because I mean the future is the youth, whatever the case. So really, there's so much to be done in that area.
Right, and the education levels, we do it. This happens, the skills development in higher education. But in your thoughts, should we be starting earlier?
Very much so. I think the earlier the better, and also I think we are stuck in the classical primary, secondary, and tertiary, and it doesn't necessarily mean that one needs to have a first degree for them to be able to do some of the things that are being done now. I think if people were to learn earlier, I think this could be their language, and in a way they could be able to excel at a much lesser age, and also without the qualifications that we seem to want to see in people these days.